In 1660, the peaceful Cotswold town of Campden became the centre of a mystery so strange, so tragic, that it would echo through courtrooms for centuries. A vanished man, a family condemned, and a truth no one saw coming. This is the Campden Wonder. Campden in the 17th century was a prosperous wool town. Cobbled lanes, timber-framed houses, and a market square that hadn't changed in generations. Life here was quiet, orderly, respectable. But beneath its picturesque surface, this sleepy town was about to become the stage for one of the most haunting miscarriages of justice in British legal history. It all began with a simple journey. On August the 16th, 1660, William Harrison, 70 years old, grey-bearded and trusted steward to the wealthy Hicks family, set out to collect rents from tenants in the nearby village of Charingworth. He took no horse, just his walking staff. "I shall return before nightfall," he told his wife. But night fell, and William Harrison did not return. His wife waited through the evening, listening for his step on the gravel, the sound of the garden gate. Nothing. At dawn, she sent their servant, a young man named John Perry, to retrace Harrison's steps. Perry walked to Charingworth and came back alone. He said that Harrison had finished his business and left for home the previous evening. The townspeople grew uneasy. A search party was quickly formed and scoured the route between Campden and Charingworth. Hedgerows, footpaths, the fields near Ebrington Hill. There, they found something. Harrison's hat, slashed and blooded. Nearby, his torn collar, stained deep crimson. But the man himself had vanished, as if swallowed by the earth. John Perry, the servant, began behaving oddly. He rambled, contradicted himself. Some said he was seen wandering the woods alone, muttering. Suspicion turned toward him. The local magistrate summoned him for questioning. At first, Perry insisted he knew nothing. For days, he held firm. But the 8th day of the interrogation, no sleep, no food, no escape, something broke in him. "I know what happened to Harrison," he whispered. What followed was a confession so detailed, so convincing, that even hardened skeptics believed it. He claimed his mother, Joan Perry, and his older brother Richard had plotted to rob and murder William Harrison. "My brother struck him on the head," John said, "and my mother strangled him with his own neckerchief." The motive? Money. Harrison was known to carry large sums of rent. Joan and Richard Perry were arrested and thrown in the cells. Both vehemently denied involvement. But with no body and only John's words, the case rested entirely on that confession. Still, who would accuse his own mother and brother of murder, unless it were true? In spring of 1661, the trial took place in Gloucester. The evidence was thin. A bloodied hat, a missing man, and John Perry's strange, shifting account. More troubling still, in court, John suddenly recanted. He now claimed his confession had been a lie, that he'd been confused, pressured, that his mother and brother were innocent. But the court had already made up its mind. The jury found all three Perrys guilty of murder. They were sentenced to hang. The gallows were raised just beyond the edge of town, in the view of the hills where the hat and the collar had been found. A crowd gathered. Some came for justice, others just for the spectacle. As the noose was placed around her neck, Joan Perry turned to her son and said, "Thou hast brought thy mother to the gallows, John, but I freely forgive thee." Moments later, the trapdoors opened, and 3 Perrys died by hanging for a murder that, it would soon become clear, had never happened. 2 years passed. Then, one morning in 1662, a figure appeared on the eastern road into Chipping Campden. Thin, limping, wrapped in foreign cloth. He looked like a ghost. But it wasn't a ghost. It was William Harrison. Alive. The man whose murder had sent 3 people to their deaths had returned, as if from the grave. The town was stunned. When questioned, Harrison told a story no one could quite believe. He claimed he'd been kidnapped by horsemen on the road to Charingworth, that they'd ridden hard to Bristol, where he was placed aboard a ship, taken to Turkey and sold as a slave. He said he served under a master who eventually died, allowing Harrison to escape and make his way back through Portugal and France. He gave no explanation as to why he had been taken. No evidence of his journey, just the tale and the undeniable truth of his presence. Was his story true? A few believed it, most did not. But one thing was beyond question. 3 innocent people had been executed for a murder that never took place. The Campden Wonder rocked more than just a quiet Gloucestershire village. It sent shockwaves through England's legal system. Until this point, confessions, even without a body, were often enough for conviction. But this case changed everything. Legal minds began to ask, how can justice stand on a confession alone? What if that confession was made under duress? And how can you prove a murder without a body? Over the years, the Campden Wonder helped establish a key principle in common law, a principle now echoed in courtrooms from London to Sydney to New York. No body, no murder. No conviction without corroborating evidence. This case became a cautionary tale, taught in law schools across the English-speaking world, a brutal reminder of the system's fallibility. But for the Perrys, it came too late. Why did John confess? No one truly knows. Was he mentally unwell? Seeking attention? Driven by guilt or by fear? Modern psychology now recognises the phenomenon of false confessions, how intense pressure, sleep deprivation or emotional collapse can push people to say things that aren't true. The Campden Wonder may be one of the earliest and clearest examples. Today, Chipping Campden is a postcard-perfect Cotswold town, but if you walk the old trackway to Charingworth, past hedgerows and quiet fields, you'll be retracing the final steps of a mystery that changed British justice. 3 people hanged, 1 man returned from the dead, and still, locals speak in hushed tones of 3 shadowy figures seen near the market hall, vanishing when approached. Or of a woman's voice heard just before sunrise, whispering, "I forgive thee." The Campden Wonder is more than a strange tale from a sleepy village. It's a warning that justice, when rushed or careless, can take not just liberty, but lives. So the next time someone tells you a confession is all the proof they need, tell them about Campden. And if you've made it this far, don't vanish like William Harrison. Click like and subscribe. It's far less dramatic, but still pretty important. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks for listening.